Well, hello and welcome to this month's Phrase Builder and Pronunciation Practice lesson. It is a pleasure to have you with me again today. This month, our topic for the month is deep conversations. So we want to help you not just have kind of basic everyday conversations about sports or the weather or how's the family, things like that. We want you to be able to talk deeply and have really interesting conversations, which we call, kind of philosophical or deep conversations, where you really get to talk about the things that you're passionate about. I'll explain more about what a deep conversation is in the masterclass lesson, but for right now, we'll just cover a few of the different words and phrases that appear in the conversation itself. So we'll be talking about two different things. First, we have the short one word and, very quick and easy phrases that you can use, and we'll also talk about some of the longer phrases and expressions. Let's get started. All right, the first one that you'll hear is dapper. Dapper. Now Shannon, he's an Australian guy, so he would pronounce it dapper, dapper. And his pronunciation is a little bit stronger than mine with that sound, dapper, dapper. And I have the stronger sound, dapper, dapper. So in the American English, it's a little bit more difficult for people to pronounce, but if you'd like to have more of an American accent, you have to try extra hard and listen to a lot of American speakers like myself so you can really get that R sound, dapper. Now what dapper means is handsome. It's kind of neat and sharp, and right now I don't look very dapper. Maybe I have a dapper haircut, but I'm just regularly wearing a t-shirt, and it's not particularly handsome or anything fancy like that. But if I have a nice suit, you can say I was looking dapper. Now this is just a great phrase, a great word you can use. Instead of calling someone handsome, you can say, you look dapper, and people will be surprised and impressed by how you sound. Dapper, dapper. Next, half decent, half decent. Good, decent, half decent. Half decent is a great way of kind of saying something that's it's okay. It's not so great. It's half decent. The restaurant over there, it's half decent, half decent. So you could go to that restaurant. The pizza is pretty good, but it's half decent. Half decent. So listen carefully. Watch how I'm using the expression, not just the words I'm using, but the way I'm saying it. Half decent. Half decent. So, how was the movie? How was the movie yesterday? It was half decent. Half decent. Half decent. So decent just kind of means it's kind of a more intelligent way of saying like okay, like 50%. Yeah, we were decent. It was decent. My job is decent. But then half decent is a little bit lower than that. So half decent. Half decent. Next, we were talking about clothing and especially loud clothing. Now, loud clothing is like a bright red shirt with pictures of penguins fighting dragons and things like that you'll see, like lots of sparkles. This is called loud clothing, or you can describe someone's clothing as being loud. Wow, that guy really has a loud shirt. A loud shirt, where he's got some loud pants. So sometimes you'll see people wearing things, and instead of just saying, it's a bright shirt, or it's a sparkly shirt, or it has a crazy design, you can just call it loud. Loud. Next, to pull off something. To pull off something. Now this is a really fantastic phrasal verb that I highly recommend, and what it means is to succeed at something. So usually, let's say I'm trying to pull off like a crime or something like that. So I'm a diamond thief, and I am going to sneak into a jewelry store, and I'm going to pull off a robbery. Now what that means, if I pull it off, if I succeed, then I get what I want. So I can pull it off. In the fashion sense, you can talk about someone being able to pull off a certain kind of clothing. Now, maybe a beautiful woman could wear like a thong, those like really tiny bathing suits, but I could not pull off a thong. I couldn't pull off a thong. If I was wearing a thong walking around at the beach, I think people would think that was pretty funny. So to pull off something means to be able to do it, to succeed at being able to do something. To pull off, pull off, pull off. Next, to be out there, to be out there. To be out there means to be crazy or wild or different from everyone else. So if everyone else has a suit on, I'm wearing my black suit with a white shirt and a black tie, and maybe other people are wearing the same thing. And then one guy, he has a crazy hat with stars and sparkles on it and a purple suit and a cane and big glasses. That guy is out there, out there. So he's different from everyone else. He's crazy. You can use it in a good way or in a bad way. But usually we talk about something being out there is just kind of different than normal. So we have a kind of normal space and then outside of that. So describing someone as being out there. His ideas are really out there. He thinks about things in a different way. Out there. Out there. Next, a gray area. Gray area. Usually when children are very young, we have very kind of maybe 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old kids. We teach them things that, yes, it's good, or no, it's bad. And we usually call this black or white thinking. And for kind of teaching children, it's a bit easier to do. But as they get older, they learn that there are gray areas. Like maybe if a woman asks me, oh, how do I look? Or do I look fat? And maybe I think she does, maybe I think she doesn't. But if I think she does, I might tell a white lie. So a white lie is a kind of a small lie where you're not really saying anything bad or trying to do anything, kind of hurtful to someone. So this is a white lie. Now I might tell a white lie because this is a gray area. Now are lies a good thing or are lies a bad thing? Well, there's a gray area. Sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not. A gray area. A gray area. Next, a side note. Side note. Let's say I'm talking about something, I'm talking about my pet iguana, and I have a baby iguana over here, and then I say, as a side note, so here's just an extra piece of information, as a side note, I bought this iguana in Hawaii. So I'm talking about the iguana, like what it eats and other things, and as a side note, I bought it in Hawaii. So a side note, it's literally like a note, but it's a piece of information on the side of something else. So the main conversation is here, but on the side, here's some extra information you might want to know. On the side, a side note, a side note. And finally, repercussion, repercussion. A repercussion is an unintended consequence or something bad that happens when you were trying to do something else. Let's say you have two parents that are arguing with each other. They are having a really bad fight, and maybe they just think they are the only two in the conversation. But in the next room, one of their children is listening to that. So the repercussion of them arguing is that the child feels bad. So this is an unintended consequence. So the parents, they didn't intend to make the child feel bad, but the child does feel bad. Repercussion, repercussion, repercussion. And now we'll go over some of the longer phrases that appear in the conversation. First, a penchant for. A penchant for. I have a penchant for expensive cars. I have a penchant for expensive cars. To have a penchant for something means you have a disposition, or you really like something, or you have a habit for something. So it's just something you have a kind of natural liking for something. I have a penchant for expensive cars. I have a penchant for expensive cars. Next, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. To be damned means to be cursed by something, or to have a problem or something happened to you. Now, what we're talking about in the conversation is how Shannon was dealing with his wife. So Shannon wanted to wear one kind of clothing, and then his wife told him to wear kind of a different kind. But he said that it's really difficult to find a kind of middle area where it's okay for his wife. Because if he wears what she wants, then she says it's boring. But if he wears what he wants, then she says, well, that's out there. That's kind of too crazy. You shouldn't do that. So if you're in a situation where no matter what you do, there's going to be a problem, you can say, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. So if I do something, there will be a problem. If I don't do something, there will also be a problem. Next, a little bit goes a long way. A little bit goes a long way. Usually when we talk about medicine or trying to solve a problem, you can say that making a little bit of effort or just using a little bit of medicine or something will go a long way. And what that means is that if you have even just a little bit of something, it will solve the problem. To go a long way means to solve a problem in this way. So a little bit of honey goes a long way to helping you recover from, a sickness or the flu or a sore throat. So a little bit goes a long way. Be careful with that medicine. A little bit goes a long way. So a little bit is strong enough for the solution, or a little bit is very powerful, so you don't have to use very much of it. A little bit goes a long way. A little bit goes a long way. Next, to do your part. To do your part. To do your part means to help in some way. I'm doing my part for the environment. I'm doing my part for the environment by cleaning up all the trash in my neighborhood. I'm doing my part. Now, it can be for an organization or for a person or a group of people. It doesn't really matter, but to do your part means that you're using yourself for, helping some cause or some group of people, something like that. To do your part. Do your part. Do your part now. Do your part for the environment. Next, to do right by something. To do right by something. To do right by something means to help or to be positive for that thing. To do right by something. So I'm doing right by the planet, even though to do right by, it sounds kind of weird to non-native speakers. But it's again a phrase that you should learn as one unit, to do right by. So to do right by the planet, you shouldn't throw your trash on the ground. Do right by the planet. Do right by the planet. So to be helpful and to do something positive and beneficial. Next, on both sides of the issue, or on both sides of an issue. Usually you can think of an idea as having a good side or a bad side, or look at something from one perspective or another perspective. So the issue or the problem of something or the question of something, usually it has two different sides. So you can look at it from this side of the issue or this side of the issue. Sides of the issue. So I'm on this side of the issue. He's on that side of the issue. And we are thinking about both sides of the issue. So an issue might be, should children be able to smoke? Let's say. Should little kids be able to smoke? Maybe some people think, it's okay, let people smoke. And other people think, no, do not let children smoke. So we have people on both sides of the issue. Some people say yes, and other people say no. Both sides of the issue. Both sides of the issue. And finally, the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg. The tip of something is the very top edge, or the last little piece of it. This is the tip of my finger. The tip of my finger. Or the tip of one of my hairs. The tip. Just the end of it. An iceberg is one of those big pieces of ice floating out in the water. So usually an iceberg, you have the surface of the water here, and the iceberg will look like this. It will have a really big part underwater and just a small part on top of the water up here. So the iceberg, the big piece of ice, is floating in the water like this, and you can only see the tip of the iceberg. Even though the iceberg is very big, you can just see the tip of it. This is a really common expression. I highly recommend you remember this one. If you don't remember all of these phrases, remember this one in particular because it's so useful and you'll hear it everywhere. This problem is just the tip of the iceberg. This problem is just the tip of the iceberg. So this little thing right here that we're experiencing, it's only just the beginning or only just a small piece of a much bigger thing. The tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg. Well, that's it for this month. I hope you've enjoyed all of these phrases. Be sure to go back and review all of them. Listen to my pronunciation as I'm saying them and practice with me if you'd like to sound more like a native American speaker. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lessons this month. Have a fantastic day and keep practicing. Bye-bye.